Welcome to Ice Magic's private wedding show. My name is Griffiths and I've been designing and creating cakes for many years. As you will see, I have an extensive collection of some of my cake creations for you to view, in a variety of styles, colours and sizes. You can choose from a number of different cake flavours, and I rarely create a cake which is the same flavour in every tier. I pride myself on creating spectacular bespoke cakes which look wonderful. You will see from the many hundreds of thank you messages, cards, letters and emails that I've received over the years that I'm known for creating spectacular cakes which taste yummy too. Vintage themed wedding cakes are very popular and are perfect at many of the stylish, elegant venues at which I'm preferred supplier. Delicate subtle colours or classic ivory and white, maybe with a lace pattern copied from your gown, will create a delicate, beautiful centrepiece for your wedding. Lily and lace wedding cakes are one of my signature designs. Each cake is individually designed to fit the couple's requirements and decorated with hand-piped lace, which I often copy from the bride's gown. I can chat to your florist and find out what blooms you have in your wedding bouquet, and then recreate them in sugar. These flamboyant cascades are extremely fragile, but make excellent keepsakes, and I know a number of my brides have kept their bespoke floral decorations for many years. I can create your cake from a large number of different cake shapes, sizes and depths to allow for a cake of a suitable size to serve your number of guests. An interesting option is to use a combination of different cake shapes in the design. This peacock wedding cake with its hand-piped lace and flowing tail is based on a combination of hexagonal and round tiers. Continuing on the vintage theme, how about a vintage birdcage cake with delicate rosebuds and lace? This style of cake works really well when created in pale pastel shades, which accentuate the different shapes of the different tiers. A good way of personalising your vintage wedding cake is to add an heirloom brooch. Many families have these tucked away unseen and unused in drawers. Make a lovely personal finishing touch to any wedding cake. This also ticks the something old box if you're following the traditional Victorian good luck saying, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. I made sure that I fulfilled that wonderful tradition, and 30 years later, I'm still happily married. It is always good to add features to a wedding cake which are relevant to your wedding. So if you've chosen a wedding dress with ruffles and drapes, why not have these textures and features on your wedding cake? This ruffles and drapes princess cake is topped with a handmade silver and diamante tiara crown and finished with a feature bloom and a diamante brooch for that little bit of tasteful bling. Hand painting is another love of mine, and as a degree-level designer, I welcome the opportunity to create something really unique. By carefully hand painting onto the surface of the cake and enhancing the design with handmade roses, this teal and blue wedding cake has layers of depth and interest. Quite often brides opt for pastel shade colours for their weddings, and a good way of making your cake different is to have the background icing of the cake in a delicate pastel shade, with the features and decorations in neutral shades of ivory and white. This creates a striking yet subtle centrepiece for your wedding reception. Silver is most frequently chosen by brides as their accent colour, but if carefully used, gold can create a really fabulous effect. This extravagant 5-tier Baroque-style wedding cake with its central pillar is certainly a cake which commands your attention. If you prefer to keep your cake white, this can be just as effective as using colour. Quite often I encourage brides to have all white or ivory wedding cakes, which makes the cake really stand out at the reception. This 5-tier white wedding cake with butterflies and white blossoms, trimmed with diamante to catch the light, is an example of how dramatic an all-white wedding cake can be. If a bride has chosen a strong colour, I frequently suggest that having variations of shades of their chosen colour on their wedding cake allows for much more interesting decorations. You will see from the cascade trail of butterflies and blossoms on this white and lilac cake how I've created an interesting flow by using different shades, shapes and types of blossoms to give depth to the final design. My castle wedding cakes are very popular and I love making them. As each one is hand modelled, they're all unique and personal details such as your names and wedding date can be included on a shield or flag. As with all my wedding cakes, you can have a number of different flavours in your castle, and sometimes my couples opt to have the top section of the castle made as a removable dummy cake which they can keep. I make hundreds, probably thousands of cupcakes every year, and personally think that an eclectic mix of colours, designs, sizes and flavours works really well together, creating that kid in a sweet shop, which one shall I choose feeling. Mini cupcakes, individually iced mini cakes and cake pops are also very popular and if included help to create a really fabulous display. If you'd like cupcakes but still wish to have the tradition of cutting the wedding cake together, then a top cake can be included, decorated to match your cupcakes. Your wedding cake should be one of the focal points of your wedding, and even if choosing to have a tiered wedding cake, on occasion, depending on the number of guests you have, the size of your reception venue, a traditional stack cake can become lost amongst the other decorations and features of the room. One way of avoiding this happening is to choose to have extra deep tiers and to have the tiers separated in some way. This pink rose and pearl wedding cake, rather than having traditional pillars to add height, has extra deep tiers and has been semi-stacked with a separator to add an extra dimension to the design. Caricatures are a great way of adding a personal fun touch to your wedding cake. You will notice that my caricatures are very detailed, even down to the pink toenail polish on this bride's bare feet. If you choose to have caricatures, I will ask you for details of your dress, suit, and even how your hair will be. All this information helps me to create caricatures that are really special to you. You could even have your pets and children on your wedding cake if you wish. Depending on the venue, you may like to have your cake displayed on a stand. I have a huge variety of stands that you can choose from. I don't charge for the use of my stands, I simply ask for a refundable deposit. So as you can see, just about anything goes with my wedding cake designs, and I have extensive portfolios which reflect my many years of creating. Whether you plan to have a spectacular, extravagant wedding or an intimate, elegant celebration, I will be delighted to design and create the bespoke cake for you. Do take a look at my website, and for the latest news, keep an eye on my Facebook page or follow me on Twitter. I update my Facebook page regularly throughout the week with news, images of my latest creations, and comments from my happy customers too. I hope this has given you a little taste of my iced magic, and I hope that I'll be hearing from you or seeing you at one of the many shows I attend. I always take a good range of my creations for you to view, along with samples of my delicious cake for you to try. Details of my wedding shows can be found on my website. I look forward to hearing from you and designing and creating your dream wedding cake for you. Oh, and don't forget all those other celebrations that need a special cake. To whet your appetite, here is a Welsh-themed cake that I created for a BBC television programme a few years ago. Thank you for watching and happy planning.